Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the start of another weekly vlog. I am super excited to do this one with you guys because this week we are going to be reading one of my most anticipated reads of the year, which is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. If you caught my last video that I posted, which was an unboxing video of my subscription boxes for the month of February, you got to see me go into great detail on how much I love this edition of this book. Like, I can't get over it. And me sitting on camera trying to decide exactly which cover I was going to use for the reversible dust jacket definitely went with the dark vampire vibes for this book because that's exactly what this book is about. So for those of you that don't know, Ali Hazelwood typically writes romances, contemporary romances. She has some novellas that she's written, and then also a young adult romance that she came out with not too long ago as well. This is her dipping her toe, if you will, into the paranormal / fantasy pool. So I am super excited about this because not only is it a romance from Ali Hazelwood, it is going to contain elements from typical fantasy and paranormal books that I always seem to enjoy. In this book, we follow our main character, whose name is Misery Lark, and she is the daughter of the head of the vampire society, I guess. I don't know what his title is technically. In this world that she lives in, there are vampires, there are werewolves, and then there are also humans. Amongst all of these different species, the werewolves and the vampires definitely do not get along. They have like this centuries long rift with each other, but they do have a treaty where they are not supposed to cause harm to the other. And then also the humans live among them, but the humans seem to kind of lean more towards the side of the vampires versus the werewolves. This has always been put in place kind of politically amongst all three of these species. So Misery has lived most of her life amongst the humans. When she was a child, she was sent to live with the humans as kind of like another peace treaty where they do this exchange of a child that is of importance or from someone politically based, and they basically exchange their children, and they're like, hey, until they're 18 no harm can come of these children, otherwise treaties and alliances are off. So Misery has lived her life growing up with humans. She was taken in by caretakers that do this position. She had a foster sister who was a human, and after her position ended, once she hit the age of 18, she decided to stay amongst the humans because she felt pretty much no connection to the vampires whatsoever. So she is just living her typical life like a mid-20s girl would do. She has an apartment. She's best friends with her foster sister that she grew up with, and she has a job in tech because she's of course an Ali Hazelwood FMC and she's wicked smart. She's living her life normally until someone comes from the vampire world and says, your father wants to see you ASAP, there's something going down. She finally goes and meets with her father, who she hasn't even spoken to in almost 10 years, and he relays to her that he wants to have a marriage between her and the alpha werewolf to continue a peace, alliance, treaty, whatever you want to call it, between the werewolves and the vampires. Of course, Misery is like, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with this. I don't even want to be part of the vampire world, let alone be thrown into the mix with the werewolves. But something comes out that she soon discovers about her foster sister having to do with this werewolf situation. And then she finally agrees to do it, but she doesn't tell anybody that she has kind of some plans of her own behind this marriage. That's where we start the story. It really opens up with this marriage happening like right off the bat. So already you are getting this angst and this emotion between these two different worlds. The werewolves and the vampires do not get along. But what I have really liked so far in the story and what makes it a little bit different to me is we are used to seeing vampires described as beautiful figures that walk amongst humans, and they're super fast and super strong, and they have to only come out at night, but that's not how they're described in this story. The vampires are really just kind of a step up from humans. Like, they aren't immortal. They she describes them basically as like they just were kind of genetically tweaked and now they're vampires and they don't need to eat food. They only survive on blood in this day and age. It's not like they go hunting, they have blood banks. It's all very like on the level of things. Like they just kind of live normal lives. But they are still seen as higher on the hierarchy than humans in general. The werewolves, on the other hand, are described as the most powerful physically out of everybody in this world. So that is really kind of cool. The vampires are even a little leery of the werewolves because they are the very fast, very strong, like rip you to shreds type of species in this world. But the werewolves are also still leery of the vampires because way, way, way back in the day, vampires did used to hunt and used to kill people to drink their blood. That's not the situation that they live in now. It seems very much kind of urban fantasy, which I really, really love. So we're just living in this normal world where there are werewolves, there are vampires, but you almost wouldn't be able to tell the difference between some of them. So I really, really like that. This is very much going to be clearly an enemies to lovers situation, which is one of my favorite tropes to read about. There is just so much passion and angst that comes behind that trope. And already you're seeing misery be thrown into this relationship, this marriage, like this actual marriage with this werewolf that she had never met before the day of their wedding. And now they're trying to function together where their entire lives they have spent being separated and not having to interact with each other. I am super excited to go on this journey with you guys. That was a very long recap of what the book is about, but I am only at this point in time, so I am only on page 86, chapter 6 of this book. So I am hoping that we can read through this entire book together for this vlog. I think we might do this one solo because we are coming up on the end of the month. I would love to just start and finish this book in one vlog together. It's about 400 pages long, I believe. So 400 pages for this vlog is the goal, and I can't wait to see what happens. I mean, again, we've got our enemies to lovers situation, forced proximity, because now they are actually married, and she had to like go move in with the werewolves and kind of figure out how to live her life with werewolves when she has spent her entire life avoiding them. And it is written by Ali Hazelwood, who is one of my like auto-buy authors. So I'm excited to see what she does with this paranormal world. And I'm excited to do it together through this vlog. So I am going to sit down and read this afternoon once I wrap up with work. And then I will give you guys another check-in as soon as I have something to update you on. Until then, I hope you are having a fabulous Monday and we will check in when we can. All right, bye.
This right here is what you call a candy paint. Southern Arizona fell in love instead. Angel brown hair, cute face, solid graduate. She's the type to make you hesitate. Solid at a party, how you doing? What's your name? Yeah. Said she got chosen, that's like fire to the flame. Yeah. Ask her what she into, she said anime games. Wow, put a ring out loud, baby check me out. She's a wallflower, but a look right through your glasses.
I don't know what has happened. Out of nowhere, I just started getting the worst headache. I don't often get anymore, so when they come on, I just like, oh, I just dread them so much. So I'm still laying here reading, but I can feel it coming on, so I might honestly have to take a break and like hop in the shower, take my contact lenses out. Usually a hot shower kind of just helps, like, I don't know. It just makes it feel better. But honestly, and this sounds very weird, but reading usually helps. It kind of just lets my eyes start focusing on something and almost takes my attention away from the pain in my head. So I think I'm going to take a break and take a really hot shower, put my hair up, and then just like veg out on the couch and read a little more until I have to start making dinner. And yeah, that's where we're at now. I've only read like 4 pages and then my head started hurting. So I was like, cool. I guess that's on the menu tonight. Anyways, going to shower and take care of the situation, and then we'll get back to Bride. Okay, I'm sorry, just one more thing, because of course as soon as I'm like trying to finish this page, it's the writing I'm talking about from Ali Hazelwood that just makes me laugh so much. She says, I lose track of time. When I look up from my keyboard, the moon is high, my room is dark, and a small, creepy creature stands in front of me. It's wearing owl leggings with a chiffon tutu and stares at me like the ghost of Christmas past. I yelp. Hi. Oh my god, Anna! Hello. I clutch my chest. What the fuck? And it's so accurate because and I'm sorry, but children are sometimes the creepiest things. If you ever like babysat when you were a teenage girl, like the kids would like get up in the middle of the night or something, or they would get up after their bedtime and just they would just creep the fuck out of you. Oh my god, that made me laugh so hard. Headache forgotten. Headache forgotten. Ali Hazelwood for the win.
1, 2, 3, 4. Paper planes fly me to outer space. That's where I'll see your face and have you with me. It may seem dark, but you always light my spark in my heart since the start. Oh, 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 oh,
You guys, I have been reading all afternoon. Like, all afternoon, I have been sucked into this book. I can't put it down. I don't even know where the day has gone, and now it is nightfall, and I have not checked in with you at all since yesterday, and you wouldn't even believe where I'm at in this book. I put this down at page 256. Like, I'm addicted to this story. Misery has agreed to go into this marriage because she thinks she'll be able to find out what happens to her missing sister. And this marriage is really a marriage of convenience and kind of another ally between the werewolves and the vampires. And Misery, because she grew up in the human world, never really got a chance to find her true self. So she doesn't really like connect with the humans necessarily, but she definitely doesn't connect with the vampires. Like, she says more than once in the book, she's like, I'm just like a bad vampire. Like, I'm a sucky vampire. Like, no pun intended for that. She literally just means like, I'm just a real shitty vampire. I don't know how to do it. She doesn't really get how the werewolves live because vampires are so different. Even though she didn't necessarily grow up with the vampires, she's always been kind of taught to act like a vampire, and they're very kind of keep to themselves, standoffish. They don't live in like community packs where the vampires are like, we only get together when it comes to like political situations. The werewolves are over here like, we are like together all the time. Like, we're always with each other. We have barbecues and hangouts and all this stuff. And she just like doesn't comprehend those things. So she is just living in this house with her alpha husband and his pack and kind of just trying to survive and get by. And Lo has this very much like touch her and die. Like, I am protecting this woman, even though she's a vampire and you guys don't like vampires. She's my wife. I'm the alpha. Touch her and die. And I eat that up. I love that so much. I love it so much. And Misery is very quickly learning how to kind of open up and connect with other people because, again, she's never really had to do it. She always connected with Serena, so her best friend slash foster sister, but they grew up together from children, and she is literally the only other living being in this world that she's ever really cared for or had thoughts and emotions towards. So Lo also has a little sister named Anna, who is just like this adorable 7-year-old girl. And Misery is like, when I checked in yesterday, and I was dying laughing because Misery had just met her and she like doesn't know anything about children. And she was like, "Are you like 3?" And she's like, "I'm 7." And she's like, "Do you like have a diaper on? Because I'm like worried you're gonna pee on my bed." And she's like, "Again, I'm 7. Like I'm not a baby." Sorry, we had to take like a quick break. My husband called and I had to grab a snack because I didn't realize what time it was, and it's late because I have been reading all day, as I said. Anyways, so Anna is Lo's little sister, and she's just like this really sweet, like typical 7-year-old, except she is a werewolf child and she's just full of energy, and she's like bringing something out in Misery that she's never seen in herself before. She automatically just starts to care about this child because that's kind of just what kids will do. They kind of like weasel their way into your hearts. And even if you don't know anything about them or want to care for them, you end up just like already having this, like you automatically have this feeling of protection over them because you are the adult in the situation and they are the child. And a couple of things happen like in the pack because of Lo becoming the alpha. So the mate of the previous alpha is got some like diabolical plans in taking down Lo's pack, it seems. We start to see like Lo and Misery develop an actual relationship. It seems kind of like they start this friendship almost, and the banter between them starts to pick up, and it's really cute and witty. Again, Lo being like this big alpha guy really is just so taken in by Misery and drawn to her, and he does all these very like, again, very protective things, but they're kind of like subtle, like him like pulling her in to him, or him like laying his head in her lap, because he just has like so much weight on his shoulders, all the responsibilities of being an alpha and caring for this pack, and then also for Anna. But I'm really excited to see where the story goes, because you can definitely tell that there's tension building within the political aspect of the book, with Lo being the new alpha of this pack and someone from a different pack kind of wanting to maybe fight against him for taking down her mate. And then also just the dynamic of them trying to keep like a peace treaty with the vampires in general. And then also the humans do kind of play a part. They're kind of in the background, like you know that like humans are involved, but they're not really part, like a forward part of this story. So I do kind of like that there's a lot of like political drive in this, but it's like my kind of political drive. It's not like all war rooms and maps and them like going to battle all the time. It's kind of just modern day, like how do you keep alliances? How do you make treaties with people? How do you keep like different species living peacefully among each other in today's climate? So I kind of like the political side of the book as well. I'm going to try to check in with you guys a little bit more tomorrow when I get to read. Tomorrow's workday is super busy, and I think I'm going to be filming my next video tomorrow if I have time as well. So until then, I will check in with you guys when I have another update. So I will talk to you guys later. Is this the lunch of a child or a 34-year-old woman? Asking for a friend. Hello, friends. I wanted to do a really quick check-in, very specifically because I read so much of Bride yesterday, and I apologize for my check-in last night. I actually, thinking back on it, might have been a tad delirious. I had read for hours, and I don't get the opportunity to do that much. It was just a really quiet evening, and I just sat down and I read and I read and I read, and then I was like, I should check in with the vlog and let them know my thoughts and feelings. And my thoughts and feelings ended up sounding a little unhinged, so apologies for that. But with that being said, because of what I got to read yesterday and then what I sat down and read this morning, I am so close to finishing this book. I am on page 348 right now, and it's only a 400-page book, so I only have like 50 pages left. So I wanted to do a really quick check-in with you guys. We have finally hit our third act in the book, so there was kind of like a little twisty surprise, and some shit is going down, and some people are feeling betrayed, and some people are feeling surprised, me included. And I am just here for it. I'm here for it. I want to see what happens with Lo and Misery. she very much has kind of fallen into this whole situation with him, and she's really opened up and she's let herself get very vulnerable and raw, which she's never done before. She has literally grown up not connecting with anybody because she felt like she couldn't really connect with the humans, and she knew she was a vampire, but she didn't grow up with them, so she didn't even have much of a connection with them in general. So she has never really learned how to do that, and she is finally doing that here with Lo, and he ends up kind of pushing her away. But he's doing this because he is that guy. He is that guy that is like, I will protect her at all costs. I think it's too dangerous for her to be involved with me, to fall in love with me, to try to be with me in a relationship. And I am going to pretend like I don't like her. She's dumb and to get away from me. And hopefully that will send her running with her feelings hurt. And then she'll be safe and protected from me. It like kind of ripped my heart in two. I'm not going to lie. Because I am like now in this with Misery. Like I said, in the beginning of the book, I was finding her a little hard to connect to. And I think it was written that way specifically. Like she is like in this little box and you feel like you can't like open that box and get to her. She's finally kind of coming out of this little package and experiencing all the things. And now it's like slapping her in the face. She's like, cool. Well, I guess this is what it's like to be vulnerable and tell people your feelings. And I'm like, girl, we've all been there. Hang tight. Like, you can do this. So that's where I'm at now. I'm super excited to see what happens. So they've kind of like pushed away from each other. Some kind of like big surprise has happened. And now there's going to be a situation and having to like control and handle what happened in the book. Again, 50 pages left of this, so there's not much left to go over. I'm going to try to finish this tonight if I can. I'm going to start making dinner here shortly. I got a ton of recording and editing done today, which is what I was doing earlier when I had my adult Lunchable that I gave you a little preview of, and I've pretty much got that wrapped up. So I think the rest of the evening is free to try to chip away at the rest of this, and then hopefully I can check back in with you guys with a final thoughts and feelings update. So until then, I hope you have had a fabulous day, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye. Oh my God. So much is happening. So much is happening at the end of this book. And also, can we admire this golden hour that's happening right now? Oh, girl. You're hitting the ankles in this kitchen lighting. Okay. I'm on chapter 29. And sorry, my grill is going in the background for dinner. So you'll have to listen to that for a second. But I just wanted to say, oh. Okay, bye. Do you want to go to the pet store? You want to go with Mama? You do? Okay. Come on. Let's do it, Bubby. Yeah, let's go. Mothership. They're the cutest puppies. They're so cute. The both are great dogs. Hi friends. You got to just have a little sneak peek of what it's like walking around with Dash in public. Like a public place like Ulta, which a lot of people don't realize is dog friendly. So anytime we come over to the mall, because I have to get some like beauty products or what have you for this situation, I will always take him into Ulta with me because they go absolutely nuts over him when he goes, like when he walks in the door. It is more attention than he gets anywhere I've ever taken him. The pet store, the bookstore, you name it. It just makes me giggle every time. He's, you know, he's a real ladies man. Right, Bubby? So while I have you guys, I wanted to do a last and final check-in for this vlog because as of last night, I officially finished Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I wanted to give you my final thoughts and opinions on it. I really, really enjoyed the book. I am so happy that she is stepping into this fantasy paranormal world, and it definitely flowed really well. Like, I think she did really good. And a lot of people know this about Ali Hazelwood already, but she started writing fan fiction years ago. So she has been in the game when it comes to fantasy or paranormal stuff for quite a long time. I've never actually read any of her fan fiction stuff before, but it kind of makes sense that she would go this route being traditionally published now. And I am really excited that she's doing it. And I hope that she continues to go on this route, because I thought that she did a very, very good job with this paranormal setting. Something that set this book apart, in my opinion, from others that I've read about vampires and werewolves, like, we all know what books I'm referring to. She had it set up a little differently, where the vampires in this story were definitely different than humans. Like, they were like maybe one step above humans genetically, but they weren't super, super fast. They weren't necessarily overly strong, and they definitely weren't immortal. And I really liked that about the story. I thought it was very cool to see not just the vampires, but the werewolves as well, be a little bit closer to humans as far as something like that. So they could still get injured, they could get poisoned, they could die very easily, just like a human could. But they did obviously have some different genetics, such as they didn't have to consume food to survive, the vampires. And they even fed by blood bag, which was kind of cool. It's like a new age vampire, right? Like, they don't do the whole like hunting for people and feeding from people thing anymore. They get blood delivered to their house, like Uber Eats blood, and that's how they survive. And they only have to feed once a day. It takes them a couple minutes, and boom, it's done. The werewolves were definitely like the superior species as far as like genetics went. So they were the fast and the strong ones. Again, they're not immortal beings. They can definitely get hurt and injured. And that did happen a few times in the book. And I think it brought something different to it, because it made the characters feel a little bit more like they weren't so far out of reach. Like, when they got into a few situations, you were concerned for their safety, and that made it feel a little more like you cared about them. Like, it was a big deal. And then I also liked that it wasn't just those two species. Humans were involved as well. And there was kind of that political aspect to the entire story. So there's different territories where humans, vampires, and werewolves live. There's border lines. There's specific rules about crossing into different territories and needing almost like an ID or a passport or like paperwork to prove where you live and why you might live in a different territory. So I kind of liked that about it as well. I will say that the book does get quite spicy towards the end. Like, I have read Ali Hazelwood's other books, and maybe I've just forgotten, but these got pretty darn spicy. It didn't bother me because I don't mind spice. Like, light smut in my books doesn't really perturb me, if you will. And I do kind of like an adult relationship in that sense. I like that they are definitely going to experience things together, and the fact that they were two different species was definitely discussed in this story about how can they actually be compatible when they have sex with each other, because they are two different species. But it did make me laugh, because I remember watching this video from Carrie Can Read, where she was talking about some Ali Hazelwood books, and she loves the author too, but she does not like smut in her books. So she was like, her male characters are great until they open their mouths. And that's kind of what this reminded me of, and it made me laugh so much, because the dirty talk that came out of him was definitely like, it was a little cringe. Like, there was a cringe moment for me, and I was like, don't know if I necessarily love this coming from him, because they're always like these very like protective, very emotionally available men, though. They are kind of like, quote unquote, the ideal male partner as far as like being supportive and being available and all those situations. So then when they kind of just randomly have like this dirty talk, it seems like almost kind of jarring. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Again, it wasn't that big of a deal to me, but just keep that in mind. This does get a little bit spicy. So if spice is not necessarily your thing, it's more towards, it's like over halfway through the book, towards the back end of the book, that a lot of the spice kind of comes in. So you do at least get most of the book without that situation happening, and it was kind of the build up the entire time of them really developing the relationship between each other. So there is that, if spice does kind of trigger you a little bit, I would still maybe give it a go, and then you can kind of skim through some things. That's just I'm just letting you know. But other than that, I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was really good. I am so excited she's doing this fantasy genre now. I hope that she sticks with it. It was definitely one of my most anticipated reads of the year. And when my Owl Crate box kept getting pushed back and it wasn't going to be delivered on time, I was like, no, I am going to read this in March though. Watch me. I don't care if I have to call off work and I spend the entire last day of March reading this book because it didn't get here until then. Luckily that didn't happen. But it was so quick to read. I mean, that was a 400-page book, and I read it in about 3 days' time, which is pretty fast for me. That's not typical for my reading speed. But again, Ali Hazelwood's writing, you just kind of fall into it, and you flow through the story. I thought it was really good from start to finish. The dynamic between two different species, the politics of that, the time that these characters took to develop a relationship with each other, and then kind of learn and grow from each other too, which is all the things that you want in like a romance book. And then of course, your happy ending. But that's where we are going to end this vlog. We read one entire book together, Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I can't thank you guys enough for joining me on this journey. I absolutely love doing these weekly vlogs. I love giving like real-time reactions to things. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button because it always helps a girl out. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any other upcoming videos like my monthly wrap-ups or my vlogs that I release on a weekly basis, go ahead and hit that subscribe button too. As always, it has been an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.